Okay, right now what we're gonna do is the different narratives going into tomorrow. We do have news tomorrow, um, which essentially, right, is gonna speed up price action. So for example, if we're bullish and news is bullish, right, it's just gonna go to our draw faster. It's just gonna hit the TP that we want quicker, right? The news is literally just a price being sped up. So I have a bullish bias going into tomorrow, but I still want to see what we talked about last week trigger. I still want to see the 4 hour fair value gap um, get taken out. So right now, what I want to do is I want to find out what higher time frame dealing range we're trading. As you guys know, I'm very, very, very favorable to dealing ranges. I think the market moves from equilibrium to equilibrium, taking previous day high or low and either reversing or running to the next or previous equilibrium. So what we're going to do is we're going to map out our PD array in the form of the daily range. So this is our daily ranges PD array, right? And we have our premium, equilibrium, and discount. As you can see here where we're trading, we're literally right at equilibrium. So I'm just grabbing my PD array, right? The next thing that I'm grabbing is what array are we trading in? Because remember, we always look at the previous day's array, which is this bad boy, but we've already traded outside of it. So the array that I'm looking at is this array right here. This PD array from, I believe it's Monday 12:30. 12:30's PD array is what we're trading into right now. If we stay inside the daily range, that's fine, but I'm anticipating us breaking out of the daily range, right, the previous day, and attacking this PD array inside of this dealing range. So that's our daily arrays, the one we're trading in, and the swing high and swing low we're trading in. What day, what swing. So now if we go to the 4 hour, we can look at that 4 hour fair value gap that I was talking about that I had mapped out the last time that we did a daily narrative. So if we look at the 4 hour fair value gap, we're still having trouble trading above it, right? We're still having trouble trading in it. So if we use, and I'm just adding the PD array just to make it easy to see. If we use our PD array, we can see that the equilibrium of the PD array, right, the 50% is right here at 21,587. I want to see us trade above that. I want to see us trade above previous day high, which is right here, right? I want to see us trade above it, drop below, fail to trade back into the range, right? Into the range of previous day. This is our previous day. Fail to trade back into the range and do what? I want to see us attack this high. This is my draw. My draw is Monday's high. If we make it to Monday's high, then what are we looking for our next PD array, right? Then we're gonna look for Thursday's PD array, right? Which is this is Thursday's high, and then this is Thursday's low right here. Sorry, this is Thursday's low. Let me see. Sorry, I'm getting to it. Here, this is Thursday's high and low. So Thursday, remember Thursday goes into Friday, that counts as one day. So from this high to this low is our next array. If we do break Monday's high, then I want to look to attack the equilibrium of Friday or the high of Thursday. So right now, all I have mapped out is my 4 hour. And remember, I want to see us violate 587 and trade above it. So now we'll go to the 1 hour and we'll look for, again, a reason for us to stay bullish, right? What would be the reason for us to stay and keep our uptrend? We have a very good downtrend here, and then we shifted structure here, right? We created that low, we're low, lowest low, and then that higher low right here. And we were propped up by what? By this fair value gap after we shifted structure. As you can see, as we're coming back up here, what is keeping us afloat? What is keeping us above equilibrium? What is helping us stay at that high and continue higher? We have equilibrium, but more importantly, The breaker, well, what I like to look at is just the fair value gaps and the orbs because your breaker already gets ran through. So there's a possibility of violating your breaker on the retouch. So once we run through a breaker, and I'll share a video with you guys about ICT talking about when we run through a breaker and when we come back to retest it, it's normally a failure. Trading through the breaker the first time, right? Like this is the orb, and then this is the breaker trading through it the first time, if we come back for a retouch, there is a possibility of a spike through the turncoat or through underneath the orb, right? And we end up closing under that breaker and trading back into the range. And we end up trading that market structure shift to go lower. So there's two different ways you can trade a breaker, right? You can trade a breaker when the original orb is formed, and then we first trade through the breaker is what we're doing right now. And then the next way is when we take the breaker and come back up, that breaker becomes what's called a reaper, and it's essentially just a double ran through breaker, and it's an entry for a short or an entry for a long. It's kind of like an inverse orb or an inverse breaker, right? We run through it. So what I'm looking for on the 1 hour is I can see this specific area, this resistance area, which is literally just a double London high. This double London high is very important because it's going to be a area where we're next to EQ, but it's going to be an area where we created equal highs, right? These equal highs here. We already ran through them yesterday and we're trading above it. We're bouncing above what? Support. So we're looking at a very easy context here of literally just support and resistance. We have our 4 hour fair value gap or our higher time frame PD array, but ultimately we're literally just trading above this area of support, right? This is a really big area of support, or this is an order block right here, right? A rejection block, sorry, or an order block, however you want to map it out. And we're literally trading inside of that order block, turned it into a breaker, and now we're going to retest and go higher. If we fail, like I was saying, if we fail to close above this PD array's equilibrium, when we trade back down, we're not going to bounce on the breaker. We're going to take the breaker. We have all this liquidity here. We have a little tiny order block here, which is coincidentally at the 25%, right? That's an area for us to bounce to come back up to do what? To hit this Reaper, because it's a breaker that's been traded through twice. And that'll be our actual entry to attack all of these lows right here. So we have on the 1 hour, right? And we're not going to map this out because, like I said, what I want to keep mapped out is this specific high, which is literally just a really big resistance area. And we can potentially turn this resistance to support, which is around the low of the orb, turn to breaker. So this would be a good area if we do fail to come back down, hit this resistance, right? Sorry, this is support. Let me reword this. This is actually support right now. So this is actually a support, right? Dropping below this support would turn it into what? Would turn it into a resistance. Then we would attack or target all these lows. So we have we have our three different narratives, right? We have our dealing range that we're trading in, which is our daily range. We have our 4 hour fair value gap that we talked about, right? This is the 4 hour we talked about last time. Trading above it is where I want to remain bullish. I'm still bullish above this fair value gap, but I am bearish below the fair value gap. If we do take this high out tonight and London comes back down to retest this tomorrow, I have no doubt that we're coming for this high right here. All of this liquidity that has been just chilling for the past couple days is going to get run through tomorrow. We're going to do what we did not yesterday, on Friday, where we broke the high and we traded above it. And then now you can see we're continuing to create that bullish structure. If we come up here and take this high right here, I believe the same thing's going to happen. We're going to trade above it, and then the day will end, and then we will come back up and attack this high during the next day's Asia and London range. Right now I'm on the 1 hour, but I have this fair value gap is the 4 hour fair value gap, and then this support is just mapped out on the 1 hour. And then if we drop down to the 5 minute, all right, we can see how it all ties together. Like right now, what are we trading above? Like this is our resistance, this is our support line that we drew, right? Which is a really good respect of our support, of our resistance. When you see when you first started trading and you first started trading support and resistance, this is what you want to see. You want to see us trade on, around, and below, right? Below and above, and turn it into a support and trade away from it, and then fail to close under it again. So we came, right? This was a resistance. We turned it to support, right? We gapped up during market open. We traded back into the support, right? We never turned it into resistance. We never dropped below, and now we're trading up higher above it. So this is a very important support, like I said, because not only is it right above equilibrium, but it's also all of these daily or session highs right here. See all of these highs? It's a very, very, very good support zone, or very good support that could possibly turn into resistance. So the types of trades that we have going into tonight is we reject and drop down to our discount, right, of the previous day, which is down here. Sorry, remember this PD array right here. This is the PD array of Monday. So we want to see us pop up, right? This would be our scenario 1, is we come back up and we tap into this higher time frame PD array, which is the 4 hour, and then we end up dropping down to previous day low, right? Which our first TP would be what? It'd be equilibrium. Our second trade, right, would be we come back up higher and we attack the 4 hour and we create a retest on the 4 hour, and then we attack this high up here, right? That would be my second setup, my B plus setup. My last scenario is I want to see us trade, right, above or below or around this 4 hour fair value gap, and then trade underneath the support and come back higher. Why? Because that is our equilibrium, where we will trick traders and induce them into believing we are going to short, but we actually don't short. We just what? Take Asia low and go up, right? We buy the old low, or we sell up here, right? We sell the old high. So those are our 3 narratives going into tomorrow. Number 1, we do not cross 587 and we drop down to previous day low. Number 2, we trade above the 4 hour fair value gap, come back and retest during London, which is about to open up in like an hour or two, and we attack the highs of the previous days. And then the third scenario, right, is we trade in this area, we chop around, London creates kind of like one of these, and then we create what? We create the funnel, or we create the broadening formation. We come down and take out equilibrium, which is here, and then we come back up and trade higher. Do you guys have any questions? So those are the 3 types of plays I want to see. So if you guys remember last Friday, we did 3 narratives, right? We had 3 different narratives. Well, those narratives didn't fully take place, but there was an opportunity between every scenario, because the scenarios that we had, one was go up then go down, the second one was go up even higher then go down, and the third one was what? Go all the way up above previous day high and go down. But every time we tapped into one of our scenarios, we offered a chance to take a trade, right? This was scenario 1, this was scenario 2, and then finally this was scenario 3. We had the opportunity to take every scenario, but I was leaning more towards previous high a day, which is, this support that we mapped out. So I ended up taking the beginning, right? The beginning of scenario 1, the beginning of scenario 2, and then where we started on scenario 3, which was the narrative of taking out previous day high and turtle swooping the high and coming back and giving it all back during a PM session, I actually just got out and closed my chart and didn't even trade scenario 3. So even though we had the 3 scenarios, the 3 narratives that we wanted to happen, it was still possible to trade each of the narratives, just not to the fully realized TP, right? What did we want when we took Asia high? We wanted to come back to previous day low. Well, we didn't, but we did offer some good price action or a little RR, right? Would have been a good little scalp. Maybe it would have turned around on us and we would have lost. But the scenario or the entry model, right? The entry is what we were looking at. The entry played out. Same thing goes for the second one, right? We failed to take out New York and we ended up dropping during equity open. We could have gotten some ticks here, right? A trade here, but ultimately, if we would have attempted to do what? To hold it to previous day low, we would have again got stopped out here and ended up losing. But we were able to trade off of the narratives that we created. So going into tonight, into tomorrow, that's what I have planned. I want to see us fail. We can even fail now. Like right now, still counts as your narrative because what are we doing? We're failing to close above. When I say fail to close above, I know I draw like this, but this whole area where there's no price yet, there's no current price, right? Above this and this, there's no price. We can tap into any single one of this and do what? Trade back into the Asia range, trade under NYO, under support, and come back up and dump. So our narrative is, yes, fail to close under the 50% of the 4 hour, but our short entry is going to be when we take out previous day high. That's where we will look for what? For us to create displacement, drop back in the range, use the inverse fair value gap to get in to our short, TP at Asia low, TP at previous day EQ, TP at New York low, TP at London low, and then TP at Asia low, which is down here. That would be my A plus setup. Let's tap into that higher time frame 4-hour PD array, fail to displace above it, and then London and London, and I want to see London do this, and then London will drop us. Yeah, if you guys don't got any questions, I'm going to stop.